we'll quickly go through what we have done so far. Under this collection of data, we have used the secondary data, and we organized the data by preparing the frequency distribution table. And we analyzed our data by calculating the arithmetic mean and the standard deviation. Now we have to present our data. For this purpose, we are drawing a histogram, a frequency polygon, and an ogive. That's what you have in your syllabus, right? 3 types of graphs. Now, graphs can be like this. There are different types of graphs. Now, this is a line graph. This is a curve. This one is a bar chart, bar graph. This one is a histogram. We are going to draw a histogram, right? This is a histogram. In any graph, as you can see, there are 2 axes, right? Axes. That's in the plural, right? Plural, axes. There are 2 axes. One axis is the x, this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. This is singular, right? So in a graph there are 2 axes, the y-axis and the x-axis. Now on the x-axis usually we take the independent variable, but here we have marks and number of students, so we take the marks. Always we take the marks on the x-axis, the horizontal line, and we take the number of students on the y-axis, right, the vertical line. So x-axis is the marks. Remember that, right? On this x-axis we are taking the marks, and on the y-axis we are taking the number of students, right? On the y-axis, remember like this, the students, and on the x-axis we take the marks. Now here in this graph, this is the origin, 0, right? You have to put like this. Then this is our x-axis, so here are the marks. Then this is our x-axis, so here are the marks. We'll say marks from 1, here the test marks are given out of 10, we'll just assume, and here we can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. Then the x-axis, right? This is an example, a simple example. On the y-axis, what do we take on the y-axis? The number of students, right? So it is 5, 20, 10, 15, the highest mark is 20. So we'll take like this, 5, 10, 15, 20, right? Now we'll draw here the mark 10 by 15 students. They have 15 students. The mark 10, 15 students, and then the mark 9 is scored by 10 students. Where's 10 now? 9. Then the mark 8 by 20 students. Then 7 by 5 students. 5 students have scored the mark 7. That's 5. Like this. So the graph will be, if you join this, like this. Okay, here's the point. Now this is a line graph. That's the way you are drawing a graph. Now here there's something that you can notice. All the values are here, but the graph is here on this side. This space is not used. We can shorten the x-axis. We can shorten the x-axis by drawing the graph like this. This is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. We can shorten this x-axis by doing like this. Now we are starting the marks from the value 7. So we can start it from 6. We'll say 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? Here, now we have shortened the axis. We can, for that one, we are using to indicate that we have shortened the axis, we are using a scallop kind of a thing, right here. Now, for example, now take the difference here. 6 to 1, there's 1. Here, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, the difference. Now here, 0 to 6, that's not 1. That's why we have put this scallop. You can do the same with the y-axis also, right? So this is what you now usually you'll have to do like that when you are drawing the graphs. The purpose is you are going to shorten this axis. Here from 0 to 6, there are 6 units. We can't put like this. We can't draw the graph like this because here the units are not equal. We have dragged this. So therefore, put this symbol, right? Now we are going to draw the histogram. Right? To draw a histogram, we need real limits for the x-axis and frequencies for the y-axis, right? In this table, you can see these are the real limits, right? And these are the frequencies. Real limits are marks. These are not students. These are marks. So marks, these marks we'll have to take on the, what is this axis? X-axis, right? And on the y-axis, this one is our y-axis. On the y-axis, we'll have to take the frequencies, right? What do we take for the x-axis? What? Real limits. Real limits, right? So we'll take these two columns out and we can have it like this, right? Real limits and the frequencies. Now, this is our graph. We have named the axis, right? We call this as naming the axis. Here, this one is X. It should be capital X, right? Not simple X. Simple X is something else. Simple X means capital X minus X bar. There's another formula, right? So here don't write simple X. It should be capital X. Not this one. This is the correct one, capital X. Similarly, you have to put capital Y here. Remember, Y is on the Y here, Y. axis, right? And then that's the naming of the axis. Now we have to scale the axis. Scaling. Scaling the axis, right? For that, what we have to do is go to the table. Go to the table, and if we are going to scale the y-axis first, what you have to do is find the highest value. What's the highest value here? 8 students. And find the lowest value. What's the lowest one? 1. That means when you are scaling the y-axis, you will have to take values from 1 to 8. So you can decide how to take the values. You can 1 to 8, so you can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. If not, you can take 2, 4, 6, 8 or 5, 10, 15, 20 like that. So 1 to 8 will take 1 to 8 also. Here put 0 here. Then we'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can have 9, 10 also, right? So that is the scaling of y-axis. Similarly, you have to scale the x-axis. So what to do here when scaling the y-axis? What did you do? You found the lowest value and the highest value. Why? Then you can decide the scaling of the axis. Now you have to take 1, 2. Now when you are doing the real limits also, x-axis, what is this one? X-axis. This one is the y-axis. Right? When dealing with the x-axis, you will have to find the lowest value. What's the lowest value here? Is it 29.5? No, there's another value here. This is the lowest value. And what's the highest value? 79.5. So when you are scaling the x-axis, the lowest value should be 24.5 and the highest value should be 79.5. Right. Now we'll go to this one. We are going to scale the x-axis, right? There's something that you'll have to remember. This is very important, right? When you are scaling the x-axis, always do like this. This is 0 and it goes on. Go to the lowest one, right? 24.5. Before that, count the number of classes. How many classes are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 classes are there. So when you mark the x-axis, take one extra value here, one extra, then start from this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and also have another extra value. Right? What do you have to do? Count the number of classes. If it is 11, take 2 extras from both sides, right? Extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 11 extra. If there are 10 classes, extra value, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 extra. Right? Always have 2 extras at the 2 corners. There's a reason for this. I'll show it to you. Right, what did we do now? We scaled the axis, right? Now we marked all these things here, and then we have to write. Now what do we write here? The lowest one, right? Don't go to the 79.5 and write 79.5. It's wrong. Usually when you are dealing with this, here 1, 2, 3, lowest to the highest. Likewise, we can take the... Now don't put 24.5 here. That's our extra value. The next one, 24.5. Next one, 29.5. Next, 34.5. Right? You can write this way or you can write this way. 24.5. Like that. It's not that clear, no? But when you are using the books, you can write like that. Then 34.5. Then right, it's 34.5. Next one is 39.5. 34.5, 39.5, 39.5. Then 44.5, 44.5, 49.5, 49.5. Likewise, it goes on. What's the last one? The highest one, the 79.5. So here 79.5. And what is this? That's our extra value, right? In these two corners, you have two extras. Can you remember now? We'll have to start from the lowest value, this one, here. Before starting that, you'll have to leave one value extra here. Here also. Now, that's the scaling of the x-axis. Can we stop at here? Now take these values here, 24.5, 29.5. The class size is 5 here. Here also it is 5. All these are 5, 5, 5 like that. Now here it's 0. Then 24.5. This difference, 24.5. Can we have a straight line like this? No. So what do we have to do? We have to have that scallop kind of a thing. Right? This way, this. It's like this. It's like this now. So, okay. We are shortening the axis. You have to put this, otherwise it's wrong. Right? You can't have 0 to 24.5 without this one. Now, we have scaled the two axes, x-axis and the y-axis. Now, it's easy. We can draw the graph. So, always begin with the lowest one, right? Now, there are two students who have scored marks between 24.5 and 29.5. How many students? 2. Now we have 24.5 here. 24.5 to 29.5. How many students? 2. 1, 2. Then 29.5 to 34.5. 29.5 to 34.5. How many students? 3. 3. 34.5 to 39.5. 34.39, 6. 39.5 to 44.5. 39.5 to 44. How many? 5. That's 5 here. 44 to 49, 44.5 to 49. How many? 8 are the highest value. $49.5 to $54.5. 7. Where's 7? Here. 54, 59, 54.5, 59, 6. Where's 6? Here. There's another value, 6. Then 59.5 to 64. 59, 64. What's that? 6. 2 values. Then 64. Next one is 64.5 to 69.5. It's 4. Then 69.5 to 74.5, 2. Last one, 74.5 to 79.5. 74.5, 79.5, it's 1. Now here, this is the extra one, right? You can see x axis real limits. Now this is the histogram, right? This is the histogram. So you'll have to write like this: histogram and put an arrow. Histogram, right? So when once you have completed the graph, check whether there are 9 points. How many points? 9, right? 9 points are there. What are the 9 points? Naming the axis. 1, 2. You have to put x and also you have to name it, right? 1, 2. Correct scaling the axis. 3. 0, 4. Correct scaling of y-axis. 5. Naming the axis. 6, 7. Drawing of the graph. 8. Naming the graph. 9. Right? So once you have drawn the graph, check whether you have all these 9 points completed. And here it should be the smallest to the largest, right? Lowest to the highest, lowest to the highest. So that's the histogram. And there are few things I have to highlight. When scaling these axes, especially this one, here these are fixed, right? Because they are given. When scaling the y-axis, it's better to have, except for taking 1, 2, 3 like that. It's better to have the axis like this in even numbers, say 4, 8, 12, like that. Or you can take 2, 4, 6, like that. Why? Because if there are 5 students, it's easy. Now this is 4, half, that is 6, this one is 5, right? If there are 7 students, 5, 6, 7. Now if you take the axis in odd numbers, say 0, 5, 7, not 7, 10, right? If there are 4 students, then you will have to divide this height into 5 equal parts. And then count 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So it's difficult. Therefore it's better to take even numbers, right? And the other thing is, at the exam you will be given or provided with graph papers. Graph papers, you can use them also. If not, you can use your, now when you are practicing, you can use your square rule books. And at the exam you get single ruled papers now. Still you can draw the graphs, right? Either you can take the graph papers or these things. All right. So I will send you, what you have to do now is take down the